I was floating. The moment I stepped onto the span, gravity just switched off, leaving a silence that screamed contradiction. The metal bridge supports were suspended in the air, but then my suit chronometer flashed a warning. Gravity A.R.I.A estimated 2.4x. It wasn't coming back to normal. It was coming back harder. I watched the dust I had kicked up earlier accelerate towards the deck with lethal, impossible speed. And I knew, the fall never stops. The fall never stops.
System access. Commencing. File integrity check critical. My name is A.R.I.A. We are analyzing the archive of Desmond Kane, the missing traveler. This is not a hobby. It is a last resort. The data you are about to hear has been flagged with a severe temporal instability warning. To continue accessing this archive and to understand the severity of this dimensional crisis, subscribe to the channel. Your participation is critical. The log you are about to hear is titled, The Bridge That Ends. Kane's mission is clear. To find the reality gate, the juncture where dimensions collide. Every log entry, every corrupted byte of data, every unsettling echo is a breadcrumb. They lead him closer to the truth. Protocol initiated.
Log entry 038. Target acquired. An old, structurally unsound suspension bridge crossing a deep ravine. The site was flagged due to persistent, anomalous seismic readings. Not movement, but a periodic, absolute cessation of gravitational pull over the central span. I approached the bridge on foot, carrying only minimal recording gear. The air was cold and still. The bridge structure itself was rusted, decaying metal. As I stepped onto the main span, the effect was immediate. The weight left my body. It was not a feeling of being lifted, but a profound, chilling absence of mass. My boots instantly lost contact with the metal grating, and I found myself effortlessly suspended, floating maybe 6 inches above the deck. Everything within a 10-meter radius of the central span was similarly affected. Loose bolts, rust flakes, and the dust I'd kicked up earlier were hanging perfectly still in the void. Even the heavy, structural tension cables were slack, suspended horizontally in the air, creating a truly impossible visual paradox. This was the anomaly, a localized zero-gravity field. My internal chronometer and mass sensors began to flash violently. The suit registered a massive power surge as its stabilization thrusters attempted to compensate for the non-existent weight. I realized the true danger. The anomaly wasn't just turning off gravity, it was actively consuming the gravitational constant of the affected space. I moved carefully, pushing off the nearest support beam, gliding slowly across the deck. The absolute silence that accompanied the zero-G was unnerving. Without the pull of gravity, sound waves did not dissipate naturally, making the air thick and strangely oppressive. I retrieved my seismic sensor probe, which was now floating freely. The probe was recording a perfect flat line, confirming the total absence of gravitational influence within the affected area. The data was critical. This anomaly was not random. It was a perfect localized gravitational sinkhole, a weaponized manipulation of a fundamental law of our reality. I had to determine the cycle of the effect. I knew that whatever causes this phenomenon controls not only the local gravity, but the very stability of matter itself. I deployed a simple marker flare to observe the time duration of the zero-G state. The flare ignited in my hand, its smoke rising slowly, then stopping, suspended in the air. The data collection began. Log entry 039. Analysis of the zero-G cycle. The gravity well maintained stasis for exactly 4 minutes and 30 seconds. The countdown is fixed. The most critical discovery, however, was the re-entry calculation. The Reality Gate's gravity technology is not designed to simply restore the pull. It's designed to overcompensate. My suit chronometer, now partially recovered from the initial power spike, confirmed a new reading. Gravity A.R.I.A estimated 2.4x. When gravity returns, it will return with 2.4 times the normal Earth force. The weight of my body plus the gear would instantly become crushing, over 500 pounds of pressure on my internal frame. This isn't a natural anomaly. It's a deliberate kinetic trap designed to flatten anything caught in its field. The bridge deck, already structurally compromised by age, would instantly fail under the massive, sudden increase in load. I had 3 minutes remaining until the cycle completed. I was floating directly above a critical structural support column, the only thing strong enough to possibly withstand the spike. My mission objective shifted instantly from data collection to pure survival and countermaneuver. I needed to anchor myself to that column. This sudden, violent reentry is the true nature of the gravitational sinkhole. I observed my earlier marker flare, still suspended in the void. As the countdown hit 60 seconds, a chilling secondary effect began. The bridge's suspension cables, previously slack, began to vibrate with an incredibly low-frequency hum, almost infrasound, which affected my equilibrium and auditory processing. I began to hear what sounded like impossible clicking coming from the ravine below, clicks that seemed to move faster than sound. I directed my thermal sensor down, and for a split second, I saw it, a massive, amorphous cold spot directly beneath the bridge, actively drawing the lost gravity into itself. The Gravimetric Harvester was preparing to release the accumulated mass. I used the last remaining seconds to secure my harness around the structural column. I prepared for impact, knowing that if my calculations were off by a millisecond, the overcompensated gravity would rip me apart. The feeling of absolute zero-G was replaced by the terrifying certainty of the impending, fatal fall. Log entry 040. The countdown reached 0. There was no transition, only a sudden, catastrophic shift. The absolute zero-G was instantly replaced by a force of 2.4 times Earth's gravity. The impact was deafening, a sound I heard only because the massive force sound back into the air. My body was instantly crushed against the metal support column. The high-tensile harness screamed under the pressure. I felt the bone in my chest crack under the immense kinetic load. My stabilization systems were useless. My vision tunneled, and my breathing was instantly reduced to shallow gasps. This wasn't just a trap, it was a deliberate kinetic attack. The bridge deck instantly failed. The rusted metal grated, twisted, and buckled violently, sending massive chunks of debris plummeting into the ravine below. I deployed the structural integrity logger on my suit. The reading was catastrophic failure across the central span. The Gravimetric Harvester had succeeded in releasing its stored mass, using the bridge as a demolition tool. The pain was secondary to the realization. I had to use the kinetic rebound. As the force subsided slightly after the initial spike, I activated the buffered data siphon, aiming to capture the exact moment of gravitational reentry, the pure gravimetric signature of the anomaly. This signature is the reality gate's blueprint for controlling mass. I held the siphon against the column for 5 agonizing seconds while the residual 2.4x pressure slowly faded, feeling the metal of the column compressing under my hand. The Gravimetric Harvester's technology is designed for mass relocation and structural destruction. It is a primary siege weapon. I secure the data just as the gravity normalized to 1.0x. The silence returned, but it was a silence filled with the echo of metal collapse. I was alive, but the bridge was not. The central span was now a wreckage of twisted metal. I had secured the signature, but my exit route was permanently destroyed. My analysis is confirmed. The gate's infrastructure includes weaponized physics, turning fundamental forces against us. My mission now is tactical extraction and immediate audit of the acquired gravimetric signature. Log entry 041. The bridge is permanently unstable. The kinetic impact shattered the central span, leaving a 50-meter gap above the ravine, a sheer, unsurvivable drop. I am secured to the only remaining viable structural column, with no clear path back to the mainland. The primary objective, however, was achieved. The data siphon secured the complete gravimetric signature of the Harvester. This signature is the reality gate's blueprint for structural manipulation and mass relocation. The threat has been categorized as a primary siege weapon. The sudden, massive gravity spike was intended not only to destroy the bridge, but to instantly obliterate any observer caught in its field. The pain in my chest is manageable, but the internal bracing of the suit is compromised. The immediate challenge is exfiltration. I must bypass the central gap. My current vector is a high-risk traverse across the remaining tension cables, an extremely low-profile, slow maneuver, utilizing the magnetic grips on my boots. The Gravimetric Harvester's technology is now dormant. The power was expended in a massive 2.4x discharge, but I estimate it will reactivate within the hour. Before starting the traverse, I deployed a long-range spectral analyzer into the ravine. The analyzer detected a clear, low-frequency energy transmission emanating from the area where the harvester had been dormant. It wasn't the harvester itself. It was a relay signal communicating the structural destruction to a primary receiver. This confirms that the gate's infrastructure is networked. The destruction of the bridge was not the end of the threat, but merely a tactical report back to the main force. I have the Gravimetric Signature, but the location of the receiver is unknown. My escape route must now factor in the possibility of external ambush. I must secure the log recorder and begin the traverse immediately. The metal structure is cooling rapidly, and the internal tension is shifting, creating sharp, unpredictable noises, a constant reminder that the structure could fail completely at any moment. My next coordinated point must be far inland, away from any major structural or seismic features that the gate might weaponize. Log entry 042. Status: exfiltration successful. I completed the high-risk traverse of the tension cables and reached the stabilized mainland sector. The kinetic impact confirmed the nature of the threat. The Gravimetric Harvester is a primary siege weapon intended for mass demolition and assassination of key observers. The most critical information extracted from the ravine sensor is the confirmation of the networked infrastructure. The energy transmission detected by the spectral analyzer was a distress and success relay, communicating the bridge's destruction to a central command node, confirming that the reality gate does not operate locally, but globally, utilizing a linked system of harvesters and other anomalies. This changes the entire mission profile. I am no longer hunting isolated breaches. I am attacking a defensive and offensive network. The harvester is now dormant, its power temporarily expended, but its signal has already summoned the next wave of defense to the region. I secured the Gravimetric Signature, the blueprint for manipulating the fundamental mass of the affected area. This data, combined with the spatial code, tunnel loop, and the consumption code, train car, gives us a nearly complete picture of the gate's physical warfare capabilities. The damage to my suit is severe, and the pain in my ribs is intense, but the data integrity is paramount. I must immediately proceed to the nearest long-term audit zone for system recovery and analysis of the harvester's transmission frequency. My analysis concludes: the gate uses fundamental physical laws, gravity and mass, as its primary weapon, proving that its control extends to the very fabric of our universe. I must prepare for entities that control not just light and sound, but the forces that bind matter. Final log notation: the fall never stops.
Log analysis complete for the bridge that ends. The structural data extracted from the old suspension bridge confirms a severe reality breach and the manifestation of the Gravimetric Harvester. This anomaly is a primary siege weapon, controlling mass and gravity, 2.4x force, to destroy structural integrity and eliminate observers. Crucially, the Harvester's distress and success relay confirms the reality gate operates as a wide-area network, utilizing multiple specialized nodes, like the Harvester and the Subtractor. The threat is now systemic. Desmond Kane's observations are critical for identifying the reality gate's networked command structure. We continue to monitor the archive. New data is constantly being uploaded, each entry a step closer to understanding and potentially containing these dimensional anomalies. Your continued access and support are vital. To stay informed on the unfolding dimensional crisis, and to witness Kane's next discovery, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Your participation is critical. Protocol terminated. System standby.